Hey everybody, this is Nick Apostolidis. I play Leon in the recent RE2 remake, and you're listening to Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast.
The Kasanova Podcast, the #1 podcast in Hawaii, is brought to you by these contributors on Patreon. If you'd like to see more content like this more often, as well as more podcast reviews, impressions, early access releases, live streams, and original content, then consider becoming a patron today. All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova. I'm coming at you with another phenomenal interview, and in today's episode, I have the honor and privilege of interviewing the one, the only Luke Gygax of GaryCon. Now, if you're not familiar with Luke Gygax, I really don't know what to tell you. Go and get out from under the rock that you're living under. Because this man, not only is he the person who runs and is the head of GaryCon, he's also the son of the legendary and iconic creator of Dungeons & Dragons, none other than Gary Gygax. Now in this episode, we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, GaryCon, Luke himself, and many other things. So if you're ready to do it, I'm ready to do it. Let's go ahead and welcome Luke onto the show. All right, and welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I have the true honor and privilege of having the iconic Luke Gygax. Go ahead and... Oh yeah, I should do this. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I don't know why I'm nervous.
Hey, man, it's really great. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. My name is Luke Gygax. My father is the creator of Dungeons & Dragons, Gary Gygax, and I'm probably best known for running GaryCon, a memorial convention to him in our hometown of Lake Geneva every year in March. So if you're looking for a convention to go to and you want to see everything from the roots all the way before D&D to modern 5e Adventures League stuff and everything in between, GaryCon.com. That's where you can find out more info.
Definitely. And you're here at HawaiiCon 2019. How has your experience been so far?
Oh, it's been really fantastic. People here are very welcoming. It's a small convention, so it's tight-knit, and it's kind of a family feel to it. So I like that because GaryCon kind of has that same vibe. So it's been great. I really had a lot of fun. I just got done running a module that I wrote in 2013 to run at GaryCon, an Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So I was rocking it old school, and I killed 5 out of the party of 8. So it was a rough adventure. They did well, but the dice were against them there at the end. But we had a great time playing.
Definitely. And I just have to ask you, how does it feel like? And how's your day-to-day life, knowing you're the son of the legendary Gary? That's got to be surreal. How is that?
Well, for me, it's just my dad, right? So people ask me that question, I'm like, well, I didn't necessarily realize that this was different, that my life was different than other people's so much as a kid, because I grew up, I was 3 years old when Dungeons & Dragons came out, so I have literally grown up. All my memories are gaming.
You're not a day over 20.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. You're a charmer. Yeah. No, I'm 48 of you already, unfortunately. That's that old. But yeah. But so I've been grown up rolling dice the entire time, so it's been really natural for me. Someone said it's like I'm the first patient zero of gaming and or role playing gaming, and it's cool. But of course, as I got older and I moved out into the world on my own, I realized that, I had some different experiences, and they were really cool experiences. And I think I appreciated my dad's role in pop culture much more so after he passed away. I certainly knew he was an important figure, but I didn't realize the impact that he had on people's lives outside of just gaming and generally having a good time and kind of shaping, video games and things like that. he through Dungeons and Dragons, I think he did a lot of good. Role playing with people can be therapeutic. It helps people maybe practice skills they wouldn't have, and perhaps get past some difficulties they have if they're terribly shy, or maybe just can't speak in public, whatever that case may be, dyslexia. But it gave a lot of people passion to learn because they enjoy gaming so much, and it helped them get over certain things, some obstacles. It also taught a whole generation of people. It exposed them to being creators, and a lot of people who started off playing D&D, and a lot of them were dungeon masters, they learned how to shape stories and create plot lines and narrative, and a lot of them went into the creative, whether it's TV or writing books or games. And so I think through that he shaped a lot of our culture and our pastimes and what's popular. So after he passed away, a lot of people wrote to us and just said how important Dungeons and Dragons was to them, and how they felt like they lost somebody close to them when my father passed away as well. So that really helped me understand his legacy, and that's why I put a lot of effort into carrying that legacy forward to the best of my ability through GaryCon and staying involved in the gaming world.
And can you walk us through, super briefly, what is the day-to-day operations for you, as the head of GaryCon? What is that like for us?
Well, GaryCon, it certainly takes up a part of my week every week. Just planning all the functions that go with it, inviting guests, and getting events submitted, designing art. What do I want for artwork? And those sorts of things, as well as contract negotiations. But my primary job is I'm a logistics officer in the Army, so that's my full-time job. Yeah, I'm a soldier. That's my full-time job. So I do that, GaryCon, and I sit on a board of directors for a manufacturing company, and I do a little consulting and game design as well. So I'm always busy. So I'm always hustling. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with hustling at all. Man, wow. I'm starstruck. Well, for you, completely outside of everything you do, what do you like to do for fun? To just relax, to clear your mind? What's therapeutic, or what's your zen moment for you?
For me, it's spending time with my daughters. I have 3 little girls, 12, 8, and 6, Miriam, Amira, and Sabrina. And if I'm just hanging out with them, whether it's swimming or playing anything from D&D, I like to play D&D a little bit, or Dungeon Mayhem, or King of Tokyo, or whatever it may be. Just hanging out with my kids is great because, like I said, I work a lot. I have a lot of jobs going on, so I'm always moving and doing that sort of thing. And of course, I like to swim, so being in Hawaii is great. I've been swimming every day, so I enjoy that. And tonight I'm going to go snorkel with some manta rays in about half an hour. Yeah.
And last question is, what would you like to leave the audience with today? Anything, a special message, or anything that's going on? Plug anything, tell people where they can find you as well. I should have asked that at the beginning, but I'm nervous, people. This man is iconic. It's not every day. This is, yeah.
Well, I'm just a regular gamer like so many people here. I would say if you want, my social media is pretty easy to find. Gygax is not a super common name, so I'm Luke Gygax on Facebook and Instagram. I have a Twitter at Luke Gygax, and my most recent product that I put out is the Lost City of Gaxmore. So if you search Lost City of Gaxmore 5e, it's a 5e module, you can still get in there and use the backer kit to jump on board. It closed up with about 1,500 people backed it, so it was pretty successful. I was very thank you everybody who supported me. But if you didn't get a chance, you didn't hear about it, you can go search Lost City of Gaxmore and get it through backer kit, and there's still some time.
And we'll definitely leave links to all that at the bottom of the podcast in the video format as well. So if you want to check out any of that, you want to follow him, don't stalk him because it's military. You don't want none of this. So with that being said, I'll have one final question.
All right, let's hear it.
Did you have fun?
Oh yeah, I had a blast.
All
interview.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm honored, dude. You know how it's just, I'm starstruck. I'm starstruck. Okay, so with that being said, people, you'll be able to catch this episode of the Kasanova podcast on all podcasting outlets. It will also be available on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova and on twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova. And Luke and I are signing out. You guys have a good one. Hey, did you enjoy this episode of the Kasanova podcast? Well, I'm sure you did. And since you did, and you're wondering where else you can find it, you can find it on every podcasting outlet. Yes, that includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Launchpad DM by Podcast One, and so much more. And the only thing I ask of you is if you truly enjoyed it, even if you didn't enjoy it, please leave a rating and tell us what you thought of it, what you like, what you didn't like, and everything in between. And also, if you're looking for video formats of this podcast and many more, you'll be able to find them on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova, as well as on twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova, and new episodes every single Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, with that being said, this is Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber. I am signing out. You guys have a great one.